Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Jeanna Brown Podcast, Smart Wisdom. My name is Jeanna Brown, your host, and today is going to be another wonderful episode. I cannot wait to introduce our guest. Um, Matter of fact, let's introduce her right now. Today we have author Camille St. Charles, Mississippi, and she is going to share with us her newest, latest, and greatest novel. It is spicy, y'all. So this is a little different. This is spicy. So you're just gonna love every little delicious thing about it. Um, welcome, welcome, welcome. Before we say welcome, we have um, Kimmisha. She's also going to assist with asking our author additional questions. So, welcome both Kimmisha Michels and Camille. I had a hiccup. Camille St. Charles, Mississippi. Hello.
Woo! Okay.
Yeah, beautiful.
hello, ladies. How are you all
Oh
doing?
my gosh. I cannot believe it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here. Your launch of your book. Oh my gosh. We're gonna dive right in, like we going in the cake with our fingers in it. I'm just gonna be right on nitty gritty with it. So I do know, Camille, that you've been writing for a long time. So how long have you been writing?
I've actually been writing for the past 16 years. I have 5 book series that I am a part of, and my latest venture is coming out tomorrow. It'll officially be live tomorrow. So it's titled Coffee Fairy Tales. Uh, Here it is.
Ooh,
Did I get it? Okay, yeah. Coffee Fairy Tales, the book. Uh,
oh my
it's my
God.
baby. She's my baby.
You have written quite a few books, and what has made a difference? What has been the difference between this book, this coffee book, and the other novels that you've written?
My other 5 series are more so on the salacious and the spicy side of life. I write semi erotica. And if by chance violence, vulgarity, and lots of sex offend you, those are not the stories for you. But the Coffee Fairy Tales is a softer, delicate, a romantic aspect of me. She's so delicate that I had to assume a different personality in order to write these stories because my mind sometimes slips into the gutter some days. But when I
Ooh.
write, when I was writing the Coffee Fairy Tales, it was the demure, the soft, subtle goddess that lives in me that showed up and started constructing these stories.
Mm-mm. Kamisha, would you like to ask our author a question at this time?
Yes. So, when you were getting started with Coffee Fairy Tales, tell us how it came about and what inspired you to write.
The birth of Coffee Fairy Tales, I used to be a coffee vendor, and I was giving a gift to a couple of people that owned a coffee company. And I just wanted to tell them thank you so much. I've had so much fun. I didn't know what to buy them because, what can you buy people who have everything? So I decided to construct something just from the heart, just a little love note that says, hey, if I was a real person, I took their original coffee. If I was a real person, let me just tell you a sweet little love story. Just 5 pages. That's all. 5 pages. And as I gave them the gift to make them aware I've had so much fun, I've enjoyed myself. After the first story was written, they just sat there in awe because they said, so the coffee is a person telling me a love story? I said, yes. We're better to fall in love than over a delicious cup of coffee. So that's how the idea was sparked. God placed it in my head because I was trying to buy them, some baubles and some stuff for the shop and some pictures. I was going to do all that, but it did not ring true. But when I sat down and started entertaining the thought of turning the coffee into a person, God was like, let all of them come to life. Okay.
Mm.
So I just started writing them. And it took a minute, but each coffee, which possesses different characteristics, has their own voice. And that's how they sprang forth. It was just the
So,
idea that God whispered to me. I wanted to give thanks, and that's how it was birthed.
well, I noticed in your cover, it's not an ordinary cover. Would you like to add any commentary about it? For one, I noticed that it's a hardcover.
Oh, yes. I was having a youthful flashback from when I was a young little girl, and the stories that they used to, the books that they used to give us in school and stuff, and the big fairy tales. I'm a big fan of Aesop's fables. Yeah, I don't know if you all remember those, but I
Mhm.
used to read those fable fairy tales, and I have carried some of them with me in my heart for years. So when I was coming up with the idea and the concept, I knew I wanted it to be a larger book. I knew that I wanted it to be a hardback. I wanted it to be able to stand up. I even tell Kimmisha, I said, it feels as if my book has legs. She's a pretty hefty girl, she's sort of hippie like me. And but she's sturdy and steadfast. And I wanted you to be able to see the magnificence in the book. I didn't want it to be just a run-of-the-mill garden variety, little paperback. It's not dismissing paperbacks. It's just for this idea, I wanted her to have a body and some legs to show off. She wanted to, step to the yard and show them, what she got. So that's how she showed up like that.
She sure did show up. She sure did show up. Who who do you write for?
I write for the lady blue aspect of me. I write for the forgotten person that believes that love has passed them by, forgot about them. Although they are middle aged people, everybody in the book is middle aged. It's not the youth. It's no dismissing and discounting, but we've already done that. I wanted to see what it was like on the other side of town for middle aged people to have that chance encounter. And these are not Hallmark, not dismissing a Hallmark. I love Hallmark stories. It's just these are people of a certain age that have, some of them have battle scars and some of them have scars in the heart. So
Mm.
I wrote for the people that have fostered those scars in the heart, and they still are just continuing on with their life, but there is something in them that still desires, that still hungers and longs for that romance. No matter how old you are, you still long and hunger for that. It does not make a difference of your economic or social or any of that stuff. Love is the desired destination inside of each and every coffee fairy tale. And that's what I offer you. I offer you a slice of some magnificence, some love, something beautiful.
Coffee. Beautiful.
Mhm.
Kamisha, what would you like to piggyback off of?
Um, Actually, I would like to go back to the design and how you envision the book to look like.
Well, with my partner in crime, Miss Kamisha Michels, we really polished it up of what we wanted the book to look like, but I wanted it to be a fairy tale. No matter if it's just for adults or middle age, I wanted you to have that wonder and that magnificence. I wanted the pages to have the border. I wanted the intense color. I wanted all of that spectacularness to be showcased inside of each story. So we sat down and we were plotting out a course of how I wanted the book to look. And Um, After Kamisha and I had several meetings several times, we had a couple of misunderstandings because she kept presenting one thing to me, and I was so distracted with all of the other bells and whistles. When she finally presented it to me the last time, I saw the beauty in her idea, and I was like, "Oh my God." And then I turned to her and I said, "Well, I thank you so much for continuing on because sometimes I can be narrow minded, you know. I have my moments like everybody else. I might not pay attention to some things, but she just kept staying the course. And together, the front and the back of the book are like a fairy tale. They give you
Mhm.
that beautiful, I don't know what they call those things around it, but beautiful
Border.
graphics. Yeah, they give you the beautiful graphics, the beautiful words. The pictures are rich, the pages are thick. It's a healthy book. So when you sit down to dine on it, know that you are going to get some form of fashion of love, nourishment, coffee fairy tales.
Now,
I
can
love
we
that.
talk about your characters? How did you come up with the faces or the characters' pictures?
The characters came up first because when I wrote the book before I even knew what the characters would look like. I only knew what one character would look like, and that's the queen that's on the cover, Queen Cinnamon. I only knew what she would look like. I didn't know about anybody else because I hadn't had an opportunity to ask. But I knew I wanted human representation. I wanted someone that looked like me. I didn't want someone that was young, that had not encountered a lot of things, that the trappings of life. I wanted someone that's been on the battlefield for some things. So I wanted that mature person. So after I wrote the stories, and I thank COVID for that because COVID allowed me the opportunity to sit still and really jump into each character. So when I'm writing each character, I'm only writing that character and I give that character my all. Then, when I finished with the book, I started actively asking a couple of my friends, would they help me and be the faces of the characters? A couple of people didn't understand what I was requesting, and I fought myself for not being clear. But the ones that got it, oh, they knocked it out the park when they sat down and took the pictures and embodied that character. So I thank them. I thank all of my coffee heroes for helping me with this because you brought my vision, you brought it to life. So that's how that happened.
Congratulations to all those who support our, yeah, are the coffee um, flavors, right?
Yes, the coffee heroes. I call them.
The
I call them
coffee,
my
Hero.
coffee.
heroes. Coffee heroes. Yep.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Well, what made you pivot?
I am so sorry. The sound left for a minute. It was
What
challenging.
what made you pivot from this type of novel from your others, from exotic to love? What made you pivot?
Yeah.
A twist of fate. A twist of fate. Well, let me see. I'm gonna try to give you a condensed version. Because I had written the stories, but I was still struggling with the violence, the vulgarity, and the sex because that's the arena that I was quite familiar with. And uh, my editor had said to me, "Why don't you see what it's like? Why don't you remove the vulgar language?" And I was like, "No, how dare you? How dare you ask me that?" Then, when I got home and I went to sleep that night, God showed up in my dream and he was saying, "Hey, you already know what it's like to write erotic. You are quite familiar. You have tons of books, and I also do a podcast where I tell you naughty stories. But God said, why don't you see what it's like on the other side of the coin?"
Mm.
And I was like, Okay, God. So after I did it, I was like, okay, I was being a bad little girl. But then I was being a rebellious and a bad little girl. But then when I finally put on the garment of being a romantic and romance author, it made me change my outlook. It made me
Mhm.
softer because I can be very aggressive and matter of fact because that's the life I've lived. But the
Mhm.
romantic aspect of me wanted to encounter those come what may conversations. And since I've never really encountered them that much, I gave it all to my characters. And all of them are just they're all love struck because they are walking down the same road. It's like Romeo and Juliet on a two-lane highway. So
Ooh, that's a quote. It's like Romeo and
Juliet on a two-lane highway. And we're gonna see if these two vehicles are going to meet or merge or if it's going to crash. And in the arena that the book is in, all of them stop and entertain, admire, and appreciate one another. So I decided that love was the desired destination and romance was the outcome.
Mm, love that.
mm-mm. Spicy. Mm.
Right.
Spicy.
So now the question is after spending, because I know it took you a total of 3 years to write the characters,
Mhm.
and then almost another year to put the design and everything together. So when you got the pre-production print, what was your response and how did you introduce it? And what were the responses from the people who actually got to see and touch the book?
When the package arrived at my house, I was a nervous wreck. I was having a lunatic moment. I was frantic. What? What? It's my baby. So I ran and got I have a special knife. I had a special knife and I just delicately opened it up. And when the box opened, and she was like, "Hey girl, hey." That's what the book said to me. "Hey girl." So and I picked her up and I just put her to my chest and I just said, "Thank you, God." Because my vision finally came to life. I didn't mind waiting because I had no problem staying on the sidelines until I can get exactly what I want. I was tired of selling myself short. And when I presented my book to at a gala, I went to a gala in New Jersey for Mupo Entertainment. And when I showed my book, you should have seen the looks on the people's faces. They were somewhat awestruck, like, "You wrote that book?" I said, "Yeah." They were like, they were like, "You're like a round the way type of chick." I said, "I know. But I possess an assortment of skills. I'm not a one trick pony. So you cannot place me under any specific category." And
Mhm.
I decided that it was going to be love. God told me to take out all the violence and the vulgarity and the sex. And I struggled. But once I got the book and I showed it to everybody, they were awestruck. They were in awe of the masterpiece that Coffee Fairy Tale is because, excuse me, it's a romantic story for all of and it's just coffees stepping forward and telling you a romantic story about a journey that they've been on. And it made me feel so proud because out of all my other books, no one has ever acted like this with the Coffee Fairy Tales versus my other book. This has just been totally, it's been opening up different doors. People have been viewing me differently. Oh, trust and believe me, I still curse. I still entertain violent tendencies and everything under the sun. But when I talk about Coffee Fairy Tales, it's the goddess that lives in me that shows up. So that's what I have experienced. They saw the goddess. presenting a new story.
I love that. I love that. Well, the show is called Smart Wisdom. So share with us sometime where you use wisdom or gave wisdom or made a smart decision.
Mhm.
You know, when the book actually was dancing in my head, I didn't know where to put it and how to do it. And sometimes I become anxious and frantic. And God had to have me slow down. I had to
Mm,
streamline my thoughts and just bring them together so they can just funnel to be, so I can really see them to write the book. Just sit down and write the book. And I was telling a love story in the book of some love stories that I have heard in the past or some situations. And I just wanted it to be fancy and special. But I sometimes I got lost and I had to, like I said, COVID helped me, but I had to put the book down and I had to focus because for a minute I was like, this isn't for me. This is not going to do right. But God kept saying, finish the book.
Mhm.
Just right. That's all you need to do because I am not I get mad at myself sometimes and I get mad of the things that I am not. I am a storyteller. I am not an editor. So I kept thinking, well, my editor is going to think I'm a lunatic writing, telling her that coffee's a person. And when she finally got the concept and the idea, she said, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. And I stayed the course. I didn't care what anybody said when I would officially tell people what I'm doing because everything is not for everybody. And sometimes in life, the secret things in your life belong exclusively to you and the Lord. And
mhm.
so I held on to a lot of things pertaining to the coffee fairy tales, but I just stayed the course. I just kept writing. And God was like, it's going to get done. It's going to be better than you think. But I didn't see it. I heard it, but I didn't see it until I kept asking God. I said, God, I need help. You know I don't know what I'm doing. You know I don't know anything about this. But God's like, I got you, baby girl. Hold on. I got something for you. So I got someone for
That
you.
is
Don't worry about
such
it.
that is such a great analogy for all the listeners out there that have
Mhm.
struggled or hesitated or delayed some prompts that you should be doing.
Mhm.
And what you keep saying and reiterating is stay the course, stay the course, stay the course. And you may not know how to get to the end, but you stayed the course. And then now you have this wonderful hardcover coffee fairy tale that novel that is going to launch October 1st. So I am just like, I'm so excited. Um, how in the world can people connect with you and get this amazing book?
You can connect with me on all the social media platforms, but you can go to my website, coffeefairytales.com, because the fairy tales have their own website.
That's
So she will
lovely.
officially be live tomorrow. So it'll be officially live October 1st. From there on, you can go there and secure a copy. You can stroll around. You get to read a summary of each of the copies. You get to see them and you get to encounter what's coming up inside the stories for them because this is just volume one, Coffee Fairy Tales. Volume two is playing around inside my mind. So, we'll see how that goes.
And speaking of the website, are you going to have any merchandise that you're going to be releasing
I
for
have a
in time for the Christmas sales?
Yes, yes. I am partnering up with several vendors, and we've got some phenomenal ideas that's coming up pertaining to the merchandising of Coffee Fairy Tales. You're going to be amazed and shocked. And this is a totally different aspect of me. So I'm coming. I'm coming for all of y'all. I'm coming for you because I want you to read the book. I know you're going to enjoy it because we're better than to fall in love than over a cup of coffee. And whom better than to tell you a love story than coffee to make you aware of all the things that it's brewing behind the scenes.
I love it. It's so true. It's so true. Well, almost have to wrap it up. It's been a great, great conversation. But is there anything else you would like to leave the listening audience, or something that you just want to say, whatever it is?
Well, before she answers that, does she have enough time to read a short synopsis of one of the coffees? So,
Yeah, go. Do you have anything set aside that you can grab?
I
yes.
don't have anything. I
Yes,
don't
you do. You do. The 7 descriptions, the short,
Oh,
just
well,
read one of those.
I don't have it pulled up, but I can
Okay.
tell you. I can tell
Okay,
you.
tell us.
Which
Teaser.
one? Just tell me which one, because it's 7 of them. Tell me one.
Well, let's go with the cover. Tell Cinnamon.
Queen Cinnamon. It's the story of a lady of a certain age whose husband has died, and she's over a kingdom, and her father comes out of retirement because he said, although you are doing a successful job of running the kingdom, I need you to get married because people do not respect women like they should. So if you had a man standing there at the helm with you, uh, the story will flow better. So therefore, Queen Cinnamon, who's actually a coffee, is auditioning and interviewing accessories because she says she's tired of being just a plain old black coffee. She needs some accessories to help, inspire her to her magnificence. So all of these accessories audition, and they show up, and they're telling her all the things that they can offer her, good, bad, and indifferent. And it's a very funny story. It's a lot of chaos, but ooh, the characters. I think it's like 7 or 8 different accessories that show up and audition for her, and she chooses one. And the tale takes off from there. So that's Queen Cinnamon Coffee Fairy Tales.
I love that. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing that. And definitely enticing, and definitely got to get that book on your website, right? On your website.
Coffeefairytales.com. Coffeefairytales.com.
And there'll be a description, a link in the description too, so it'll be easy for you to grab, whether it's here in October or next year sometime. It'll be there for you to purchase and support our author Camille St. Charles, Mississippi.
Thank you.
Kimmisha, is there any other question before we go to our next segment?
I don't have a question, but I will say if you have a friend who loves love stories, this is the perfect book. This is not your typical book. It has it will give you an experience like no other. And the only way to truly understand that experience is to have the physical book.
Mhm.
We
Great nugget.
added,
Great
we we
nugget.
we upgraded the books, so the new prints will be even better.
Yes.
Even better.
Or
Yes.
order your copy because you won't be disappointed.
You will not
I
be
love it.
disappointed. And it's going to give you an eyeful because the pictures just pop out. And if you are a friend of mine on social media, you get the opportunity to meet some of the coffees. All of them will be on display tomorrow. And if you go to the website, coffeefairytales.com, you can just click each picture of the coffee, and a brief little summary and a description shows up for them.
Mhm.
So,
Nice. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And we will definitely get those books. But now we're going to go to our next segment where we are going to talk about at the table. At the table. If you know anything about my show, Jeanna Brown Podcast, Smart Wisdom, At the Table is a episode where we talk about the importance of communicating while we were at the table of being at home, being from home to the boardroom. And the whole idea and the whole concept comes from communing together with your family, with your children, and then also having those communication skills, engaging with your family on a regular basis. And I know it's busy, so if you can't do it daily, at least once a week, right?
Yes.
I
Mhm.
Yes.
challenge you. I challenge you to do that. And I also encourage you to email me your at the table experience, and I will read it, and it could give you a chance for me to share it on the broadcast. So the email for that is in the link below as well. In the boardroom, that's where you're not with your family, your close friends, but you learn to communicate better through, along the way, your development. And so you're already ready and prepared. So that's the whole idea behind at the table. So I wanted to share that in this segment as well. And
Nice.
we are finished. And thank you so much for tuning in to another Gina Brown
You.
podcast, Smart Wisdom. And we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you for having us on your show.
Thank you, Gina. So appreciate it.
It's been wonderful. Bye for now.